Tired of dealing with annoying flies, fruit flies, and gnats in your home? The Zevo Flying Insect Trap is your ultimate solution. Don't wait. Check out the link in the video description now to get your Zevo Flying Insect Trap on Amazon and enjoy a bug-free home today.
Not long ago, Helen Flanagan's daughter Delilah asked her whether she was planning to get the tattoo she sports of her daddy's name removed, now that they'd broken up. I said of course not, because he is a big part of Mummy's story, Helen recalls. I told her I loved her dad very much. Footballer Scott Sinclair certainly was, and remains, a huge part of 34-year-old Helen's life. The couple got together when she was 18, had 3 children, Matilda, 9, Delilah, 6, and 3-year-old Charlie, and got engaged in 2018. Then, in June 2022, after 13 years together, actor and influencer Helen revealed they had split up, a devastating turn of events that had an impact which reverberated long after the initial shock. Earlier this year, and struggling to cope with her emotions, she also had a frightening reaction to her ADHD medication that plunged her into psychosis. I really wasn't very well, she recalls now. Basically, I was struggling with my mental health around December and January, so I took my medication to try to make me feel better, and then unfortunately it just made things worse. It took weeks for ex-Coronation Street star Helen to recover. She says that while she can remember bits of that dark time, she prefers not to, during which she was forced to withdraw from a touring production of Cluedo that she'd hoped would mark a return to the dramatic spotlight. Instead, she'll be making her step back into the public eye in quite a different role, and one that places a firm line under her relationship. This month Helen will appear in Celebs Go Dating, the cult show in which stars including Married at First Sight's Ella Morgan and Love Island's Chris Taylor are match-made with members of the public. Now in its 13th series, the show is a much-loved fixture in the TV calendar, but Helen is something of a novel contestant, given that until her split from Scott she had never been on a date before and had barely dipped her toe in the game before signing up. I did go on a few dates and I've had a few experiences, put it that way, she says of her recent ventures onto the scene. But filming this was different, really fun, and I met some lovely people. I've really bonded with Ella and Chris as well. With the show yet to broadcast, she's unable to give much away in terms of whether Cupid's arrow struck, although not long after we meet the show's dating expert Anna Williamson teasingly revealed that Helen had nearly been thrown out of the show's dating agency for breaking the rules and was also responsible for the biggest cliffhanger pivot of a storyline that contestants had ever had in Celebs Go Dating history. All this is ahead of her when we meet. She's mid-filming, and is less concerned about finding love than how she might come across to the viewing public. I don't hold back, I'm honest in the way I speak about things in my life, she says. I've tried to respect other people's feelings, but I do worry. I can't help but be anything other than myself. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. She looks genuinely worried, a sign of the vulnerability that underpins much of our interview. While she looks fabulous, and is determinedly upbeat, she confides that her mental health remains fragile and at one point breaks down when she talks about being alone in the family home in Bolton bought for her by Scott, the former Chelsea and Celtic footballer who now plays for Bristol Rovers. He bought me that house as a surprise, she says. It was the house I always wanted around where I grew up, and Charlie was only a baby, so for a long time when Scott left I felt really sad in the house a lot of the time. At this point tears are streaming down her face. Especially when he'd take the children at the weekend, I couldn't be at home on my own without the kids. I remember being so proud of myself when I stayed in the house on my own without my children for the weekend. It's a reminder that, today, many emotions from the breakup remain close to the surface. Sometimes I'll be great for ages, like I felt quite good for the last few months, and then I do struggle, like a week ago, she says. It's up and down. I think I have everything under the sun, OCD, ADHD, but I think it's important to talk about it, and if it makes people feel less on their own then that's great. I get people coming up to me and saying thank you and that makes it worth it. It's definitely an